Hi there, my name is Brent Smith and I'm the Common Constitutionalist, as hopefully most of you know, and I'm on location once again. And today I want to talk about one of my favorite topics, illegal immigration and a personal experience. So I've got no notes. This is just all going to be ad lib because the experience is relatively fresh in my mind. So we'll get into that right after the break here. Again, this is Brent Smith, the Common Constitutionalist, and this is my weekend video podcast. Okay, welcome back. This is Brent Smith, the Common Constitutionalist, and I'm on a remoter location. I know, that's not a word, more remote location. I'm out of town, basically. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. I've got no notes, nothing up my sleeve, nothing. And so I don't know how this is going to go. So I'm going to do this extemporaneously. Ad-lib the whole thing. And so it may take 10 minutes or it could take an hour. It ain't going to take an hour. I'll edit it down because that would just be boring to hear me for an hour. Even for me, that would be boring to hear me for an hour. So I want to talk about, like I said in the intro, one of my favorite topics, illegal immigration. And my personal experience with illegal immigration. Not illegal immigrants per se, personally, but just the experience of illegal immigration. So I was taking a trip recently, and I was driving. And so I'm driving through some New England states, south. I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to get into which states and whatever. And I get to a certain, it's like in the middle of the night. A chipmunk just ran by. Fabulous. The wilderness. Woohoo! Probably be eaten by a bear next. Anyway, so I'm driving, and it's the middle of the night, and I'm listening to the radio, and I'm not in a familiar place, so I'm just scanning the radio dial, and I noticed when I got to between two certain metro areas, a megalopolis, for want of a better term, between two certain metro areas in the northeast, we'll just leave it at that. As I was scanning through the radio dials, FM, I noticed that literally 40 to 50%, I'm talking every other station, was in Spanish. Now, not that there's anything wrong with that, but there's something seriously wrong with that when you're in the United States and we're supposed to be. See, the thing about a civilization is in order to have a successful civilization, a successful community, the first thing that needs to be done is you need to speak a common language. Okay, if you don't have language in common, then you can't communicate to one another, and then the society just completely breaks down. All right? So this kind of stuff irks me. Now, if you are an immigrant, and you want to speak another language in your home or to your friends or whatever, that's fine. But if you don't have a command of the English language and you're in the United States, you're not going to be able to live properly, and frankly, you shouldn't be able to survive in the United States if you don't speak English. It sounds harsh, but that's just the way it is. So that's the first thing I noticed. I'm scanning through the dial, and I'm in utter disbelief that literally, now, if it was 5 or 10%, I would still be a little irked, but you're talking half of the radio stations in this megalopolis zone, this stretch, corridor between two major cities in the Northeast, half of the stations are in Spanish. There's something seriously wrong with that. Like I said, there's absolutely something seriously wrong with that. Okay, so that's the first thing that I noticed. And I kept scanning, and because I thought, originally I must have been a crazy person. And that this can't be. It can't, and it wasn't as if because there's lots of different languages spoken in these major cities. You can speak any number of European languages or Eastern Bloc languages, Russian dialect, Ukrainian dialect, Romanian dialect, whatever. And then you have a variety of African dialects for African immigrants that have come over here both legally and illegally. So it's not as if you don't have a very diverse population in this megalopolis area that I'm speaking to, this corridor between the two major cities in the Northeast. That's not it. It's the fact that it's a concentration of the Spanish language that really ticks me off. That there wasn't a single Armenian channel, there wasn't a Russian channel, there wasn't an African channel, there wasn't an anything channel. It was just all Spanish. All right, so that was the first thing that irked me. So I kept going, and it was difficult. Oh, another interesting thing is I like country. I mean, I like a variety of music. I like lots of different music. I like pop, and I like rock, and I like country, and I like, some of the new age stuff and whatever. There's very few genres of music. Classical I like. I even like a few metal things, whatever. So anything if it's good music, I like it. If it's crap, I simply just don't. All right? So I'm scanning through, but country's one of my favorite types of music. I just enjoy upbeat country music. I don't like the old twangy crap from yesteryear. Where everybody's dog dies and your devil's wide trailer burned down. I don't like that kind of crap. I don't like the country ballads and, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's just not for me. For some people, it's just not for me. So anyway, getting back to the topic, the other thing I noticed that between this corridor, I scanned through, and then as I took notice, I started to make mental notes of these types of things, and I noticed that there wasn't a single country channel in between this corridor. The whole time that I was in between the corridor, in between these two major cities, not a single country station, yet 50% of the stations were broadcast in Spanish and all had Spanish music. And it wasn't from Spain, if you catch my drift. You know what I'm saying? So I think we're going to take a real quick break. I don't think this is going to be a very long podcast. I kind of hoping it isn't, because like I said, I'm ad-libbing, so I don't want to get verbal diarrhea and just bore everybody to death, but such is life, and I just wanted to share my thoughts. So we'll be right back.
You are listening?
No, you limey. They're not listening. They're watching.
The Common Constitutionalist, broadcasting from an undisclosed location, free from the prying eyes of establishment-like helicopters.
All right, we are back, and we're better than ever, baby. Now we're the same. So to recap, basically, I'm traveling. I'm traveling from New England, where I live, south, and I get to a corridor between two major cities, and I notice that no country stations in the whole time that I was between these two corridors. Astonishing. I couldn't believe it when I saw it or heard it, whatever. I kept scanning through, making mental notes, nothing. All right, so no country stations. So there's not a lot of country fans in this corridor. Okay, I get it, but there's some, because country's pretty popular music. So anyway, the next thing I noticed is that scanning through the dial, and I went through 4 times, through the entire dial, scanning through 4 times, 4 loops, boop, 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 boop. Literally, almost half, if not half, of all the radio stations were broadcast in Spanish. And they weren't for Spaniards from Spain, if you know what I mean, and I think you do. Okay, so that's the recap so far. So I was doing something in the car. I had the cruise control on or something like that, and I can't remember what I was fiddling with, and my eyes were still on the road, but I was doing something. So I scanned to a certain station, and I didn't recognize what station it was, because I wasn't from the area, and I stopped at that particular station just to do something else in the car while I was driving, all right? So it was a Spanish station. Okay, fine. And there was a song playing. Okay, fine. I don't speak Spanish. I have no idea what the song was, nor could I care less. So then, all of a sudden, I noticed I was finished fiddling around in the car what I needed to do, and I was just about to press the button to go to an English-speaking station where they play English-speaking songs and stuff. Not that I care, because I don't really listen to the lyrics anyway, but at any rate, after this Spanish song was over, a person comes on and he is speaking broken English. He has a Jamaican accent, man. Cool running, man. And him and a female are speaking, and I didn't know this, but it's a commercial. It's the world's longest commercial. This sucker must have gone for 5 to 10 minutes. And it was about your rights as an immigrant. Now, the left, as we know, have purposely morphed illegal immigration, illegal aliens into undocumented workers, and now they've morphed all immigrants and they're just one big amorphous mass, and so they have purposely created this vagary between illegals and legal immigrants, so now they're just all immigrants. So when the left talks about, when we talk about illegal immigration, we say illegal immigration. When the left talks about immigration, they put, like I said, this is just big amorphous mass, and it's just all immigration as legal. There's no lines of demarcation between the two. So along come these two people, speaking in Jamaican accents, man, Kuran, blood clot, man. Yeah. All right, so I'm sorry. At any rate, so they come on and they're speaking to one another, and it sounded like it was, you know, the radio DJs where they have this silly banter between the two DJs, and they're talking about the songs and weather on the 5s and traffic on the 8s every 8.5 minutes on the 8s. I mean, but this was a commercial in disguise, and it was about immigration, your rights as an immigrant. But it wasn't about your rights as an immigrant necessarily. It was about your rights as an illegal immigrant, as an undocumented worker. So I was transfixed on this commercial, driving down the highway in the middle of the night, listening to two Jamaican voices talk to me about the rights of illegal immigrants. I couldn't blanking believe what I was hearing. Well, I could, but I couldn't. I didn't want to believe, but I knew, because I have enough experience in this stuff and I follow it and I research it enough to know that this stuff's for real, for shizzle. And it doesn't tick you off any less, but it just is what it is. So they're talking about rights, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Oh, as an aside, you people in Massachusetts, if anybody's watching from Massachusetts, congratulations, because the governor or the legislature just passed a law, and the governor signed it, that illegal immigrants are now welcome to apply for in-state tuition, illegal immigrants. So for all you people who go to Massachusetts because they have great medical schools and great law schools and great schools all together, and they do, high-profile, Ivy League, cream-of-the-crop schools, you guys get to pay extra for the privilege of allowing illegal immigration or illegal immigrants to come to Massachusetts and go to your colleges and get in-state tuition. Hooray for you. How diverse, how inclusive. Hope you feel real good while you're paying your 90 grand per year or whatever the crap you're paying. Now, it has to be a state school, but some of these state schools in Massachusetts, they ain't giving this stuff away. And if you're an out-of-state student, you're paying out the wahine while illegal immigrants get your in-state tuition. Yay, that sounds fair, and it sounds diverse and inclusive, because diversity is what makes us great. Okay? Not accomplishments or anything, but diversity. Alright, so anyway, back to the story at hand. See? No notes, verbal diarrhea, naturally. Always happens. That's just the way it is. Whew. Okay, so we get these two people speaking English in a Jamaican accent, and they're talking about the rights of immigrants. But we all know that that's code, because they're not talking about the rights of immigrants, they're talking about the rights of illegal immigrants, people that aren't supposed to be in this country at all in the first place, so they have no rights. That's just the way it is. It sounds mean and whatnot when you say it out loud, but it is what it is, and it has to be that, because we're supposed to be a nation of laws, not of just people, all right? Sorry. So anyway, they're speaking about you, and you can't believe, and this was for pro bono law service, basically. If you have a problem with this, we can help. If you have a problem with that, you can help. They have an 800 number you can call. We can help. Who's paying for all this stuff? George Soros. Or something like that. The Center for American Progress, or the Open Society, or one of Soros's many shell companies are probably fitting the bill for these pro bono attorneys, because no attorney works for free. It's that simple. They're all working for one of these radical leftist groups, La Raza or something like that. People Without Borders or whatever. So they're saying if you have a problem with your Section 8 housing, if you have a problem with your medical bills, or if you have a problem with your insurance, or if you have a problem with your tuition, or if you have problems with your whatever the crap it happens to be, with food stamps, with other entitlements. Entitlements? You're not entitled to any dadgum thing. You're here illegally. You're not entitled to a dadgum thing, period. And this goes on for at least 5 minutes, if not 10, this extended commercial. And every time they keep saying that you can dial 855 whatever in a Jamaican accent, man, and they make it sound really fabulous. Not one time did they say illegal. Did they make that the differentiation between illegal immigrants and just immigrants? Occasionally they would throw in if you have a problem with your green card or something like that, or your immigration status. That's one thing. All right, if you're here legally and you lose your green card. I have a friend that lost her green card. It is no easy task and no easy feat to get it back. And it shouldn't be. It should be difficult. That's something that you should hold on to. At any rate. But that's different. That's legal immigration. You're allowed to be here. You were issued a green card. You were issued an HB1 visa. As long as you maintain it, you're allowed to be here. All right? That's a completely different deal from sneaking across the border, getting here, and demanding entitlement. And again, I had to say something because I just couldn't believe the amount of benefits, the amount of entitlements that these people think they're entitled to, and that they can have free law service if you are going to be evicted from your apartment. If somebody found out your immigration status that wasn't supposed to, and know your rights. If you're pulled over by the police, you don't have to tell them a dadgum thing. You don't have to answer any questions. You don't have to tell them your status. You don't have to show them your papers. You don't have to do anything. Just call this 855 man, and we'll take care of everything. Cool running. I was astounded. I just couldn't believe it. So that's about all I've got to say. I mean, other than driving a line and almost bursting a blood vessel, or driving off the side of the road because I was so angry at what I heard. And I shouldn't be angry because this stuff is so typical. I mean, I should be used to this crap by now. But it's just so irksome that I just can't believe sometimes what I hear and what I see. Just the arrogance of this, and the like I said, the entitlement mentality of these people are just unbelievable. And the fact that they can't, if I need a lawyer, I got to go pay for one. I don't get pro bono service. This is ridiculous. So I guess that's about all I got to say. This is the Common Constitutionalist signing off for another glorious week. I'm out.